So it's another day and I'm back to the head gasket job here. I'm going to slam one more coat of copper spray onto this gasket just so it's tacky when we lay it on there. I've got the block cleaned up and we're good to go here. None of these bolt holes go into the cooling jacket, so there is no need for pipe dope on these cylinder head bolts, which there was tons of when I took this apart. It's just not necessary. All this is a simple torque and then your angles 3 times to do the stretch procedure. And it says only light oil on the bolt, 1 little drop of oil on the bolt threads, that's it. It also says not to apply additional sealants to this gasket, but of course, I'm not gonna listen to them for that because I know this way works really, really well. So let me slam a little bit more copper spray on that gasket, tack it all up, we'll lay it down, we'll start bolting down this head. All right, our gasket is set on there. It is tight over the dowels. I'm gonna let the cylinder head actually push it down and flatten it out because I don't want to disturb any of that coating we just put on, especially around the water jackets. So I got my cylinder head here. Let's give her. Well, just like that, we're back. Got the head torqued down. I got it torqued down to spec, 25 Newman meters, and then the 360 degree turns. I still don't like the feeling of it. They don't feel tight. I'm actually gonna go around and give this thing another 30 degrees. Sorry, I forgot my damn tripod again today. So I'm not gonna be able to film that because I'm gonna need 2 hands to pay attention here. But of course, we got the handy dandy snap-on. I have to, that's just a general torque reading on there as I just popped the batteries back in it. But I'm gonna go around, give it another 30 degrees here, and I'll report back, see what happens. Okay, I just went around and added 30 degrees to each one of these. These torque wrenches will tell you the torque that you left off at after doing your degree, and we're at 80 foot-pounds even, which is perfect. It feels a lot better now. So I'm real happy with that. So hopefully we don't have this issue again with this unit, and going forward it's just regular maintenance and we're done. So I'm gonna pull my batteries out of the torque wrench there, put that away, and then we'll continue on buttoning the rest of this thing up. I got a new oil pressure sensor that needs to go down yonder somewhere there. Where's the hole? Wait, right there. Yeah, there it is. I gotta slam a oil pressure sensor in there, lay the wiring harness back down across, connect to our alternator back down yonder. Other than that, it's just a bunch of hoses and plug wires. We got oil filter to change that. You'll throw the timing assembly back together and drop the rad back in, and we are good to go. So not actually a whole lot more work, but it ain't gonna be today because I've only got about an hour to continue on here. So within that hour, I should be able to get the engine completely sealed back up, and we'll get the timing belt on that way tomorrow. All we gotta do is change oil, throw the rad back in, and we'll be set. So let's get to it. All right, here's where we're at. Everything's going pretty good. I got most of the front put back together here. Just gonna put the cover on now. Fired the engine over about 3-4 full rotations, and timing marks all lined back up perfectly, which is minty fresh. So the way you do it with the pulley on there, because you can't see the timing marks obviously inside, you got that triangular notch there, and I just put a paint mark on one of the reluctor rings, and there's our right there, our notch in the cam gear. So we're good there. Got all the electrical all hooked back up in here. Everything's torqued down. So basically tomorrow, we'll throw the exhaust back on, throw the rad back in, get the intake and everything back on, change oil, fill up the coolant, throw the plug wires on, finish buttoning up the last couple things here, and then put the fan shroud back together, which is also kind of a pain in the ass. However, that's it for today. Got a solid hour in on it, so not too bad. So, till tomorrow, actually, while I'm looking at it.
Look at this.
Yeah. Before I forget. Not this clamp actually really probably even does anything, but there you go. Minty fresh. Our nice copper coated head gasket down here. All right, till tomorrow. More update. Okay, so I don't know what the millwrights were doing in here last night. They made a hell of a mess, and they got it all over my rad. So, oh boy. So that's got to be dealt with now. That's great. Got everything pretty well buttoned up here. I got the hardware for the rad out. I'm gonna set that in the rad mount and get the rad connected, and we'll get the shroud thrown back together. I did bring my tripod today, so I'll set the camera up when we go to do our first start. But right now I gotta get that rad thrown back in and get the shroud put back together, which is gonna kind of be a pain in the butt because a lot of that hardware wasn't really good. Those holes that the hardware bolts to and a lot of the shrouding are not in good shape because they don't have nuts on the other side. Some of them don't have nuts on the other side. Some of them thread like into the shrouding. Not that particular piece, but anyway, that's going to be kind of a pain, so I'll have to deal with that because you can't not have a shroud. And then we'll put the coolant overflow bottle back in. And then we're going to be filling it up with coolant. We'll run it, get it hot, and then we'll do the oil change and all that, but that's not exciting. The exciting part always is a first start after a head gasket job. So, I'll get the rad put in, put the intake tube back on, get it filled up with coolant, and make sure all systems are going to be go. We'll twist on that key and hear it roar to life, hopefully. And if everything went well, it's going to be boring and it'll work properly. Or if you know, things get exciting, we might see some smoke, fire, parts shooting different places, and you know, let the smoke and the fire out of it. But I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen. But there's only one way to find out. All right, 1 hour later, we're completely reassembled. No leftover hardware. In fact, we actually added hardware because there was a whole bunch of hardware missing from shroud bits, from the fan mount and everything else, and the radiator mount from the last person who had this all apart. No, it was not me. So we had to replace all that. And actually, this whole job started because there was a massive oil leak, which turned out to be the oil pressure sending unit, which is on the back side of the engine, which is a pain in the ass to get to, which is why I pulled the rad and everything in the first place. There is always a little coolant leak coming from this corner of the cylinder head, and then when I got back there, I found even more, and that's why we decided to talk to the customer about this. And against my recommendation, they wanted to go ahead and fix it. I suggested, you know, dropping a bottle of iron tight in the rad and calling it a day, because it's a pretty old machine and I don't know what they're worth, but it's a big job and it's a lot of money. So either way, should be good now. The cylinder head was pretty good, no cracks or anything, but the deck of the block was not real great. Not a lot we can do about that. It is like a composite style head gasket. It's not an MLS, so I'm not terribly worried about it. Plus we put an extra 30 degrees in those torque-to-yield bolts, which brought us up to a total of like 83 foot-pounds, which is a lot. Feels a lot better than like the 64 we had after doing the 3 60-degree angles. So I walk around the other side there, turn on the propane. And I'll set the tripod up. We'll twist on the key. Our coolant is sitting right at the top there. There's an air bleed down here, which runs to there. I've already bled the air out, so there's obviously still going to be some. It's going to drop. Once we start it up, it should drop, or it's going to geyser out if I didn't do a good job. And well, it'll make for good video. But yeah, keys in here. There we go. We're gonna run over to the other side, turn the gas on, make sure our line up here is tight and not leaking, and then we'll set the tripod up, twist on this key. Okay, I don't think we're missing anything. pressure. Just dancing coolant. That's to be expected. Guess we got the timing belt on, right? So that's a bonus. Nothing dripping. Looking good. Let's she's getting quieter. Well, let's give her the RPMs. Everything looks good. Listen to her purr. Beautiful. Sweet. All right, well, that was running for about 40 minutes. Thermostat's opening and closing, coolant level staying right where we want it. Got some good pressure, that's just from heat in the cooling system, which is good. Yeah, no leaks anywhere. This is just a little bit of drip down from when I had the cap loose. Everything seems great. We got no leaks that I can see anywhere. Head gasket's nice and dry. We're gonna leave it just the way it is now overnight. I'll be back here in the morning. We'll let that pressure go away. We'll top up the coolant in the morning if it needs it. Probably won't, because this looks perfect. So we'll come back in the morning. We'll do a cold start. Of course, we'll be looking at the exhaust when we do that cold start, because the 3 cylinders here, first 1, 2, and 3, were the ones that were bringing on coolant. They're the ones that were basically steam cleaned when we pulled the head off. This side was, or sorry, number 4 was good. Didn't look like it was burning coolant at all, but it had an external coolant leak right here on the engine block. So we'll be checking that first thing in the morning. Everything looks perfect right now. And then of course, when we start it in the morning, we'll have our peepers and our sniffer on that exhaust pipe, looking for any signs and smelling for any signs of sweet, sweet antifreeze. Sweet, sweet. All right, here we go. First cold start since being completed. And I gotta cut the video real quick after this because I gotta get this thing out and get fuel in the tank, or fill the propane tank because it's really low. And I don't want it to die in here because I can't actually get the tank out of it where it's positioned. So fire it up. Here we go. . 1 no smoke. A little bit of valve train noise yet, that'll clear up. Coolant levels are perfect. Oil's perfect. All right, I'll get this thing out and get fuel in it. All right, coolant level's perfect. It's exactly where we want it. Didn't lose any overnight. Didn't burn any on startup. Still not burning any now. Oil level's perfect. Oil's good. Let's fire up here one more time. And she sounds beautiful. Got the door back on. I'm going to close this thing up, run it back into the warehouse, and on to the next. Cheers.
Fuck off somewhere. I got work to do.